Yeah, you know what? I like the players.
Welcome to Insights. I'm Eric. Thanks for stopping by again here today. We're going to talk about the grain market, but not anything through the specifics of the evolution of the trade. But I want to talk about how the evolution of the trade works, the reason why we keep our core position, and how you trade around that, but also the information that's contained within, some of the hard information and some of the soft information. This is brought about by the rally that we're seeing in the wheat market against a lot of bearish expectations. And I know there's a lot of bearish expectations even in the corn and beans market. And yet they could get dragged higher, and they could be led by wheat. We had talked about it. You can go look at one of the wheat reviews, and you can review some of that discussion suggesting that wheat would play catch up. But some of the warnings that we've said, one of the reasons why we were reluctant to chase some of these flips 14 and 11 days ago has to do with the weekly price, which is right here, and time cycles, which they're all red and some are bolded because they're above 2. But these are tend to be more soft information, where energy is more in the line of hard information. And that energy build, if you're going to be bearish against the primary trend, these energy builds are far too high for that. And we'll click here on the grains. This is the grains composite DI. We're much closer to zero point 0.4 or higher, which is a statistically significant build, than we are down here at minus zero point 0.4, which was way down here. And actually, it would take quite a bit of selling or distribution. And that usually occurs when the price rallies. If price rallies a little bit higher from here, we're going to jump the creek, and we're going to jump the creek potentially even as the weekly cycles are extended, as we talked about here. So what really is going on is understanding that the soft information here can be pushed around, and energy can be pushed around a little bit, but it's much harder to do that, especially in deep big markets like the grain markets, where there's a large open interest that trades within it. It's difficult to push these markets around. It's difficult to push them against the invisible hand. In the invisible hand, while not generating bullish setups, statistically significant readings, they still are quite bullish, and it's bullish enough not to stop the rallies in any of them. Wheat's the least bullish, and here we go. And a few weeks ago, wheat was exceptionally bullish at a 70 DI, and it continues to linger around the midterm as that 70 DI is getting released and it's pulling up wheat. These DIs are bullish enough in corn at 50 and 14 that corn could rally and could easily take out this consolidation, or what I consider to be a cause building zone right here. It can happen, even though the weeklies desperately need to reset. The upside hard information in the weekly cycles, and this is the time cycle, is usually 3.5. And I've seen weekly cycles go 3, 4 before the price really slows down. So while we're late in the game, and that's reflected here, everything's mid-cycle, pushing towards late, you can still get a market that can take out its highs in 2021. I'd prefer a reset to escalate the core position, but the core position has already been escalated, or should have been in the prior resets. Whether or not you bought this one, we've had other resets where the mid-cycle wasn't as generating such a high number. But everyone should have a core position long inside these markets, as long as these primary trends, BU, which is bullish time, and BR, which is bearish time, as long as there's a count number here, the primary trend is up. And until the computer says that the primary trend is getting old through primary trend decline 1 or primary trend line decline 2 in the code readings, we're going to stay in that core position to push out the time cycles. Why would we do that? Because they're profitable. Corn in particular, here's the weekly under the lead M tab. The maximum average, or the maximum high that we saw, is 204. For wheat, it's 216, and for soybeans, see if we can find it. There it is. It's 308%. So those are all extreme cases, and no one ever trades for them. What's more likely is that you would see a reset. Well, we're still not done, but these cycles aren't extreme enough for the computer to say it's time to stop playing in this space. So really, the forecast, the prognostications that were done for 2021, we're going to trade sideways. You got to be careful with that. In order for that to even be achieved on the most basic level, you need to see blocking domes formed, and we don't even have anything close to that. I mean, a blocking dome would be DI and DI2 would be down here. These are block. This is blocking dome range. See, blocking domes, blocking domes, blocking domes. Now, price can power through a blocking dome, but at minimum, if you want to play a downturn, you better have a blocking dome on the table, at least to take some profits. But we have the opposite of a blocking dome. We have exceptionally high DI and DI2 readings, especially for all three of these markets combined, even after a rally. It tells you that the core position, you're sitting there going, oh, okay, I'm comfortable holding that. And yet everyone I can see is looking for a reason to sell, and perhaps they're going to get lucky this time, or they're going to get steamrolled by the invisible hand, which happens more often than not. And that's just something that I think anyone who's tracking the matrix, and the longer you do it, the more you understand about it. I think you have to understand the difference between really hard numbers versus soft numbers. It's all information, and none of them. I've seen DIs get run over, and I've seen cycles look like they're going to get pushed to extremes, and then it finally breaks. At some point, when the risks get too high, when you get a DI reading that's a blocking dome, and these numbers are just too extended, 3, 4 standard deviations, the risk of staying into that trade, at least in your trading position, the one that you bring in and out of the core position, is too high, and you have to back away. And that's how the evolution of the trade works, and that's how you have to look at the information. If you have any questions about what we talked about here, I mean, when I'm not talking specifically about corn and soybeans, this is just a warning that everyone that says that soybeans is done or corn's done or wheat's done, okay, yeah, it's possible, but boy, it sure doesn't look done in terms of the energy build. And you have to keep your mind open. Don't fall prey to what everyone else's believes. This is not high school. This is not a high school dance. It doesn't matter who's cool and who's not. There's just who's standing with the invisible hand, which is usually hardly anyone. It's probably like 2 people. And then there's everyone who's mobbed on the dance floor trying to look cool. And people don't even use that cool as a description of anything anymore. So they're just all doing the same thing because it's uncomfortable to stand alone in high school. Well, that doesn't work at all in terms of trading. It's actually very comfortable to stand alone, but you have to be highly skilled and patient to do it. So I encourage everyone to learn to acquire those skills, say it in and over their head, but then learn the tools to read. If you have any questions, contact me directly or talk to others who follow the matrix, either through the blog on Facebook or Twitter or anything. I'm sure they're willing to talk out there. And if not, it's easy to start a discussion up. And you'll find that these setups repeat pretty regularly. We're talking about grains. This could well as easily be talking about the foreign exchange markets or energy and crude oil and natural gas. Same stuff. I mean, these themes repeat because the discipline is scientifically based. It's based on information, and it's repeatable across asset classes. So thanks for watching today's video. I hope this clarifies why the gurus might be wrong, at least the bearish ones in the grain market might be wrong. And I don't want you to be surprised when they are, because quite honestly, if they saw some of this stuff, if they subscribe to the matrix, they wouldn't be saying the things that they're saying. But they do because they have their own way of doing things. It's just that the world is a lot deeper than what we're traditionally taught. And we're just trying to expose that for everyone. So thanks for watching. We'll talk to you guys real soon.